Hashem Yahushai. All praise and honor and glory be to Yahweh Hashem Yahushai. Alright, shalom, shalom. First, I want to give all praises and honor and glory to Yahweh Bahashem Yahushai. Yahweh is the Heavenly Father, and Yahushai is the Son of the living power, the Messiah, which these are the true names of the Most High and His only begotten Son in the ancient Hebrew tongue, in Lashon Kodash, which means holy language, which is the language of our forefathers Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, which this lesson is for Israel, Yasha Allah, the so-called Black, Latino, and Native Indians, which are the true children of Israel mentioned in the scriptures. You know, which because of our wickedness and because of our disobedience, we have forgotten our heritage, and we have been cursed with the curses of disobedience mentioned in the book of Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 15 on down to verse 68. And one of those curses that were mentioned in the book of Deuteronomy chapter 28 is that we will be what? Scattered amongst the nations. Who will be scattered? The so-called Black, Latino, Native Indians, and the other 12 tribes. You know, and the other tribes, if you will. You know, and that curse has been performed. You know, when you go to Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 68, it mentions another curse, you know, which is concerning that we will be what? Be bondmen and bondwomen, or in other words, slave man and slave woman, and we will be brought to Egypt again by slave ships. Now, modern day Egypt is America. Now, when you go into the word Egypt in the scripts, it means what? House of bondage. You know, house of captivity, if you will, or other words. And that modern day Egypt that Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 68 mentions is concerning America, not concerning the ancient Egypt, you know, but concerning America. And what race of people went to slave ships or went to slavery by the way of slave ships? The so-called Negro, you know, and that's a prophecy fulfilled. You know, that's a prophecy performed. All right, but again, when you go into the book of Baruch, chapter 28, Baruch, it mentions another prophecy, which is concerning, in the land of our captivities, which is this captivity, which is America, and in different places of the world. In the land of our captivities, we will remember ourselves. And that is happening. That prophecy is happening right now as we speak. We are remembering ourselves. We are remembering our power. You know, we are remembering our heritage. You know, in fact, before I start this lesson off, I want to go to the book of Deuteronomy chapter 32. Either Deuteronomy chapter 30 or Salaki. Deuteronomy chapter 30, Salaki. Verse 1. It says, "And it shall come to pass, when all these things are come upon thee, the blessing and the curse." Yeah, when these curses come upon us, which these curses have already been on us for years. You know, it says, when all these things are come upon thee, which that has already happened, the blessing and the curse which I have set before thee, and thou shalt call them to mind. Yeah, that's what's happening right now. You have the so-called Negroes, the so-called Latinos, and the so-called Native Indians in different parts of the world. You know, you also have, Jake, the Israelites that may look like the other nations, also calling these curses to mind. You know, it says, the blessing and the curse which I have set before thee, and thou shalt call them to mind among all the nations whither the Lord thy God hath driven thee. Yeah, and we're calling these things to mind. Right now, Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai is sending forth his prophets, teachers, the apostles, the watchmen, the faithful believers, out there in the world, in different parts of the world, to preach this word, to preach this gospel, to teach these prophecies, to warn the people. And through that, you have the so-called Negroes and Latinos and Native Indians in different parts of the world getting enlightened, getting basically, yeah, that's the word, enlightened, to the point where they're made aware of these curses, of this heritage that they have forgotten, which just, that's the forerunner for this video. Just had to bring that out for the newcomers, and Lord willing, this video is edifying. I want to give double honors to the elder apostles at Great Millstone. I want to give peace and blessings unto the elect, and salute and shalom to the fellow laborers in this truth. Again, I want to give all praises and honor and glory to Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, which I want to touch on a couple of things. I want to touch on Cain. I want to touch on a couple of prophecies, if you will. Again, Lord willing, this video is edifying. But to start off with this lesson, I want to get the book of 2 Timothy, chapter 3, verse 1. It says, "This know also that in the last days perilous times shall come." Which, when you go into the word perilous, it means what? High risk of danger and death. And yeah, we are in those times. Which you have pestilences, rumors of wars. You have, reports of famine. And you have, wickedness, overflowing in the land. Just to give you a proverb, if you will, that I read, in the book of 2nd Esdras. This proverb says to recite it, have righteousness have gone, the matter of fact, let's just get that scripture. Let me not quote it real quick. Let me not quote it. It's 2nd Esdras, chapter 5, verse 11. It says, "One land also shall ask another, and say, Is righteousness that maketh a man righteous gone through thee? And it shall say, No." So one land shall say to another, "Is righteousness that maketh a man righteous gone through thee?" And it shall say, No. Right? So you have wickedness and unrighteousness and deceit overflowing in the land. Whereas the righteous man is persecuted, the righteous man is deemed, unworthy, or an outcast, or the scourge of the earth. It says, which we could close off on that, but just to bring that out. So in the last days, just know also that in the last days perilous times shall come. It says, "For men shall be lovers of their own selves." Yeah, that's and it's going to mention, and this chapter is going to mention it's going to describe the unrighteousness in the world. It says, "For men shall be lovers of their own selves," covetous, boasters, proud, blasphemous, disobedient to parents, unthankful, unholy, without natural affection, truce breakers, false accusers, incontinent, fierce, despiser of those that are good. And yeah, this is the one point I wanted to touch on. despisers of those that are good. And Timothy, or if I'm not mistaken, I think it's the Apostle Paul. You know, you know, you know, Apostle Paul prophesying to Timothy, or epistles to Timothy. Let's see real quick, just to prove all things. I think it's Apostle Paul that prophesied this. Yeah, it's Paul writing to Timothy, his beloved brother, and mine as well, if you will. Right, so Paul said there's going to be despisers of those that are good in these last days. That's why you have mockers and scoffers, men that deem us enemies because we tell them the truth. Which these scriptures and this faith and this knowledge is spiritual. It's not earthly. It's not from earth. It's from the heavens. Right, despise of those that are good. And yeah, that's the highlight of this lesson. Basically, touching on those type of men in these last days. Which I was meditating, I think yesterday, which I was touching on, I was reading about Cain. Right? I got a couple of precepts. So to start out this lesson, I want to read the book of Jude, chapter 1, verse 10. It says, But these speak evil of those things which they know not. Because you have Jake, even those that are within, so-called within, within this so-called Israelite community, which speak evil of the things that they know not. Even those that are without, because they blaspheme the truth. They come against the truth. They come against the order, the prophecies, they come against the true breakdowns of the scriptures. They speak evil of the things that they know not. And you're going to see this often in this world when you realize, or when you come to the awareness of this, or when you have awareness of this truth. It says, but these speak evil of those things which they know not, but what they know naturally as brute beasts, and those things that they corrupt themselves. Those things, they corrupt themselves. Verse 11 is the point. It's the key right here. It says, woe unto them, for they have gone in the way of Cain. Let's read it again. Verse 11. It says, woe unto them, for they have gone in the way of Cain. Now, what it means they have gone in the way of Cain. What is the way of Cain? What is the way of Cain? And Lord willing, I can get understanding with the precepts I was meditating on. And Lord willing, you are edified. Which from there, let's go to the book of Wisdom of Solomon. Let's go to the book of Wisdom of Solomon. Matter of fact, bear with me. Let's go to 1 John first. And whatever the Lord brings to my mind, I'll bring out, Lord willing. I don't choose what order I go into. This is the book of 1 John chapter 2, verse 1 John chapter 2, verse 8. It says, he that saith he is in the light and hateth his brother is in darkness even until now. Now, to interpret the scriptures, basically concerning those that receive this some of the truth, or that came into this truth and hate their brother, right? Because right now you have carnal and sensitive men, sensual men that separate themselves from the body because they are offended by what they hear, right? They are offended by the truth because of the truth. You know, it says, "He that loveth his brother abideth in the light, and there is none occasion of stumbling in him." It says, "But he that hateth his brother is in darkness, and walketh in darkness, and knoweth not whither he goeth, because the darkness hath blinded his eyes." You know, so you have Jakes that come against this truth, that come against the elder apostles, the prophets and teachers, and the watchmen, that come against the teachings. They hate their brother, you know. Right now you have Jakes out there making videos, making videos, not prophesying, but going against the order, you know. From now on, go to the book of 1 John chapter 3, verse 10. It says, "In this the children of God are manifest, and the children of the devil. Whosoever doeth not righteousness is not of God, neither he that loveth not his brother. For this is the message that ye have heard, yet that ye heard from the beginning, that we should love one another. Not as Cain, who was of that wicked one, and slew his brother." Yeah, why did Cain slew his brother? Why did Cain slew or kill Abel? Because he was offended. Because he was offended, man. Which it tell you in the book of Hebrews. Which this is a warning for those that are within and for those that are without. Let's go to the book of Hebrews. Which when I say within, it's concerning those that are in this Israelite community. And you got a lot of those that are in this Israelite community that despise those that are good, despise the true men preaching the word, preaching the truth, bringing out the true doctrine. You go into the way of Cain because you buck up and scoff and you mock, the true prophets and teachers and apostles. When it says woe unto them that, woe unto them for they have gone into the way of Cain, it's not concerning those men that literally kill those brothers, their brothers. No, it's concerning those mockers and scoffers, and that's what I'm gonna get into. You don't gotta kill to go into the way of Cain. You gotta hate your brother. A man that hated his brother, particularly a man in his truth, a man that's doing the will of the Heavenly Father, he goeth into the way of Cain. Let's go to the book of Hebrews. Hebrews chapter 11, verse 4. Hebrews chapter 11, verse 4. It says, "By faith Abel offered unto God a more excellent sacrifice than Cain." So by faith Abel offered up unto God a more excellent sacrifice than Cain. And Cain was offended by that. Why? Because Abel's sacrifice or offering was accepted and his wasn't. And we could parallel that to what? We could link that, that's a similar situation to the brothers or the men out here and the females out here that hate the truth, that hate the brothers that's preaching the word, preaching the gospel, and truth and sincerity. Why? Because they teach of the truth, and their own works is wicked. And it speaks about that. Despise of those that are good. Because they buck up against this truth and against the prophets, because if they were to hearken, they will have to be reproved. That's why it says in the book of First John, not First John, but St. John, that they love darkness rather than light. Because if they were to come to the light, if they were to come to the truth, then their works will have to be reproved. They will have to be corrected. They will have to change. And they don't want that. They don't want to convert. That's why that's why they abide in that darkness. That's why they come against the truth. Woe unto them that go into the way of Cain. And it's not only concerning those that are without, that's in the world, but concerning those that are in the Israelite community. That, go off. But you got jakes out there that say the MOTB is philosophy. If that were so, that damn near everybody on this earth would have the MOTB already. No, the MOTB is the chip implant. You have jakes out there that say E can be saved. That's not so. That's not true. So in the last days there shall be scoffers and mockers. And you can find scoffers within, and you can find scoffers without. Let's read again. It says, this is by faith Abel offered unto God a more excellent sacrifice than Cain. Yeah, the brothers in this, in this truth, you could liken unto them. You could liken them to Abel. That's preaching His word. That's doing what they're supposed to do. Whose mouths, if you will, the true prophets, whose mouths are basically a well of life. Offering or spewing out, pouring out that which is right. Right, but you got Cain, right, which, symbolically speaking, Cain and his Christianity, in these different religions, in these different, forward Israelite camps, that's offering up a wrong offering. That's not really doing what they're supposed to do. That's not, teaching the right doctrine that is acceptable to the sight of the Lord. Touching on Cain again, which, in fact, let me finish this off. I'm going to get another precept. This is the book of Hebrews, chapter 11, verse 4. It says, by faith Abel offered unto God a more excellent sacrifice than Cain, by which he obtained witness that he was righteous, God testifying of his gifts, and by it he being dead yet speaketh. Yea, and Abel, his offering was accepted, and Cain, his offering was not accepted. And that's why Cain, he was offended. He was offended because the other do what was right, and he did what was wrong. Where I have a precept. It's the book of Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 10, verse 3. It says, but when the unrighteous, which is concerning Cain, but when the unrighteous went away from her in his anger, now that her represents wisdom. So basically, Cain, he went away from wisdom in his anger. Why was he angry? Because he was offended without no right cause. He was offended because of Abel, because of his right doings, if you will, because of that which was right. It says, but when the unrighteous went away from her in his anger, he perished also in a fury wherewith he murdered his brother. Now, touch on the jakes that leave this truth. Touch on the jakes that were kicked out of the camps, or that separated themselves, or went away from the body of the Lord. It's because these men that went away from the body of the Lord, that go away from wisdom, they're carnal, which they're central, right? Emotional men, right? Because they are offended by the truth, and the truth can, be sometimes unpleasant unto the ears of the fool, unto him that lacketh understanding. That's why when Jake heard that, when Jake hear about, instructions, or hear these laws, statutes, commandments, they're offended. Why? Because they're not willing to be reproved. They're stubborn, right? You got, a worldly Jake that support the LGBTQ, whatever, and that support that, that movement. They get offended by the truth because the truth rebuke the Sodomites, or Jake get offended because this truth cuts black culture, which is full of wickedness. Females get offended because this truth cuts, females, man. It rebukes females. So what happens then? They come against the truth. They gone in the way of Cain. They are offended. If I had another precept, let's go to the book of let's go back to 1 John chapter 3 verse 12. It says, not as Cain, who was of that wicked one, and slew his brother, and wherefore slew he him? So wherefore did Cain, why did Cain slew or kill Abel? It says, because his own works were evil. It's because Cain's works was evil. That's why he slew Abel, man. That's why he killed Abel. So basically the Jakes that come against this truth, and come against the prophets and teaching the apostles, and come against the certain doctrine, these certain teachings, right? The certain standards, the certain instructions, they come against the prophecies and the true breakdowns of these prophecies that come against order, if you will. Is because their own works is evil, and they love darkness. They love their works. They love their works, and they don't love the light. They don't love it. That's why they come against it, and they are the ones that go into the way of Cain. Even those that are within this Israelite community, It says, wherefore slew he him? Because his own works were evil, and his brother's righteous. Verse 13 says, marvel not, my brethren, if the world hates you. So this is not only strictly for those that are within. It's also concerning those that are with them, right? Which when you go into the word world in the scripture, it's the Greek word cosmos. Now, what do the word cosmos means? Cosmos means the inhabitants of the earth, men, the human family. Also, it means the ungodly multitude, the whole mass of men alienated from God and therefore hostile to the cause of Mashiach, Yahushua. So that's what the word cosmos means. Right? So it says, marvel not. Marvel means what? Don't be, don't get, shocked or wonder at the fact that the world hates you. And they love darkness rather than light. It says, marvel not, my brethren, if the world hates you. In fact, let's hold that and go to the book of John real quick. You know, and remind you, going further in the script, the scripture I, brought out, he that, love not his brother or hate his brother, particularly the ones that's in his truth, that's doing the will, they walketh in darkness and they know not whither he goeth. Just to bring that out, to remind you. Yeah, I read that. Let's go to the book of St. John. So let's go to the book of St. John real quick. It's St. John chapter 3 verse 20. St. John, matter of fact, let's get St. John chapter 3 verse 19. It says, and this is the condemnation, that light is come to the world. Now who's that light? Yahweh Shai. Also this truth. It says that light is coming to the world, and men love darkness rather than light. And that's the truth. It says because their deeds were evil. Did I not bring out Cain? Why did he, kill his brother? Is because his works was evil and his brother's righteous. So this is describing those that are going to the way of Cain. It says men love darkness rather than light because their deeds were evil. Right? It says for everyone that doeth evil hateth the light, neither come to the light, lest his deeds shall be reproved. So he don't come into the, so that's why you have Jake, these carnal men, whether within and without, that don't come into this truth, that don't get down with order, is because, they hate the light, and if they would come to the light, they will come to get down with order, their deeds should be reproved. They will have to get corrected. It says, but he that it says, but he that doeth truth cometh to the light, that his deeds may be made manifest, that they are wrought in God. Which let's go back to 1 John chapter 3 verse 13. It says, marvel not, my brethren, that the world hates you. Right? When you watch the videos of the men teaching the word, even in these other camps, when they teach the truth, that they do have, when they teach the truth, you see Jakes, willing to threaten them, willing to fight them. I done seen plenty of videos of brothers getting hurt, brothers getting getting threatened, getting into some quarrel with another person. It says we know that we pass from death unto life. Verse 14 says we know that we pass from death unto life because we love the brethren. So we pass from death unto life because we love the brethren. When the script says, in the book of Matthew, if I'm not mistaken, let your light so shine before men, then man may see your works, if you will see something. I'm loosely paraphrasing, but the brothers, when we come into the truth, we see these works of the prophets and teachers. You see, the doctrine that they're pushing, that the prophets and teaching apostles are pushing. We see, what they're standing upon. Which is what they're standing upon, a sure foundation. Which this word, the Holy Scriptures, is faithful and true. It's faithful and true. He's standing upon a sure foundation of prophets, the men that were in this truth. It says, because we love the brethren, and we love the brethren. which ain't nothing like it. Not the philosophies of the world or the wisdom of the world. Because that's not sure. That's not faithful. It's not true. But this, this form of doctrine is true. It's faithful. This belief, this profession, and the newcomers, what? The newcomers, they get interested, right? They become more inclined to this, they gravitate to it, if you will. It says, because we love the brethren, he that loveth not his brother abideth in death. Salakia, let's go to the book of, should I read this? Let's just go to the book of, let's go back to Jude, chapter 1, verse 11. It says, matter of fact, let's get verse 10 again. It says, but these speak evil of those things which they know not. Yeah, again, those that come against the breakdowns of the true breakdowns of the scriptures. Those that come against, and they speak evil of against reincarnation, right? Because you got some unbelievers out there that don't believe in reincarnation because they lack understanding. That speak against martial law, that speak against Jacob troubles. That speak against the order, if you will. That speak against judgment. Why? Because they're sensual, carnal people. Right now, you have some females out there that's twisting and turning, at this, in their sleep because of these teachings. That buck against the teachings or the doctrine concerning man is able to have multiple females if he choose. Right, you got females and men that that hate the fact that the brothers are teaching, that men in the kingdom, which the world calls heaven, men in the kingdom will have multiple wives, man, and they hate the fact. They come against it. And they hate the brotherhood for that, for teaching that. Or hate the brotherhood and hate the doctrine because, which is concerning, basically just concerning. There's a whole lot of things I could go into, a whole lot of things, I ain't gonna go into that whole lot of things, if you will. It says, but these speak evil of those things which they know not. But what they know naturally, as a brute beast, what they know naturally. In fact, let's go into the word naturally, if you will. Let's go into the word naturally. Physically, in a natural manner, by nature, which means go into that word naturally. It's under the guidance of nature, by the aid of the bodily senses. So basically, in other words, as carnal men, they speak as carnal men. Speaking about it, being emotional, being sensitive, effeminate. They hate the sound of judgment. Why I tell you that the wicked, they understand not judgment. Which, let's go deeper into that word. Now, when you go into Second Esdras, it speaks about a weak nature. In fact, let's just get it real quick. You know? Let's just get it. Let's go to the book of 2nd Esdras. Second Esdras. Second Esdras chapter 14, verse 14. It says, "Let go from thee mortal thoughts." That's that, which they know naturally. And the mortal thoughts, man. Worldly thoughts. Mine is of the world and not of the world to come, not of the heavens. It says, "Let go from thee mortal thoughts and cast away the burdens of men." And Jake, they that go into the way of Cain, Jake that hates this truth, that love darkness rather than light. And they holding on to those mortal thoughts, to the burdens of men. It says, put off now the weak nature. So the scripture mentions the weak nature of men. Whereas you got the females being the ruler of the men. You got the females ruling the man, and not the other way around. You got inordinate marriages. You got the just a whole lot of unseemliness on this earth, shamelessness, and the weak nature of men. So that's all they know. That's all the people know. What they know naturally as carnal men, worldly men. What they was taught, raising, being grown or growing up. They're not able to let go from or they're not able to be reformed. They're conformed to the world and to the image of the world. It says, let's jump down to verse, matter of fact, close off on that. Yeah, close off on that. Let's go back to Jude, chapter 1, verse 10. It says, but what they know naturally as brute beasts, and those things they corrupt themselves. Yeah, and these things they corrupt themselves in their worldly thinking, in their carnal mindset, in their emotional, mindset, man. When Jake hears, the man is the head of the woman, it's an unpleasant sound when they hear that. When Jake hear that we are living in the last days, that's an unpleasant sound to them. Why? Because they're carnal, they are of this world. When Jake hear God don't love everybody, that's an unpleasant sound to them. It's a harsh sound. And because they love darkness rather than light, they're going to defend wickedness and their lies and their vain opinions, and buck up against this truth and the prophets. Right now you have Israelites that preach that Esau can still be saved. They're ignorance. They are in ignorance, if you will, and they buck against the truth and the prophets that teach a way different thing. But continue on, verse 11. It says, "Woe unto them, for they have gone in the way of Cain, and ran greedily after the era of Balaam for reward." And what's another example, or what's another people, or not people, but what's another example of them that go into the way of Cain? Because I want to meddle on that real quick. Right, you got Christians, you got Christian pastors, Christian teachers, in these other religions that they hear about the Hebrew Israelites, they hear parts of this truth, and what they doing now in their congregations, they come against it, right, and it's that come against this truth. You got vocab, which let me not bring him up, but yeah, they come against the law, statutes, commandments, that come against righteousness, right now you still have Christians that holding on to the doctrine, which basically give them a license to sin, or freedom to sin. And what is that doctrine? Christianity. And what happens in Christianity? They eat whatever they want, they do whatever they want, and on every Sunday they come to church, and that's all they gotta do. Just come to these Christian churches on every Sunday and listen to a few scripts and some music. And they good. They saved because they believe in Jesus Christ. Which that's folly. Lock the beer with me. Right now you have those Christians right now that's giving evil reports of us, that's giving bad reports of us, and what the scripts liken unto those men, these Christian pastors and these shepherds of these religions. They're likened to those that hinder other men that are going into the kingdom of heaven. They take away the key of knowledge, and they hinder other men from going into the way of the kingdom. Oh, don't listen to those Hebrew Israelites. Don't listen to those men that have those long garments. Or that teach this or teach that. They false prophets. See, they give evil reports or bad reports of us. Right? What else they're liking onto? They're liking onto graves. Graves, man. It's graves, man. Because ultimately, touch on, matter of fact, it says it right here. It says we could just touch on it. Woe unto them, for they have gone into the way of Cain, and ran greedily after the error of Balaam for reward. Now, Balaam is a man that took a reward, that took pay to just so he could to curse Israel. Now, touching on they that run greedily after the error of Balaam for reward, we could liken those men to Christians, right? Because once they teach those vain opinions, those falsehoods, those doctrines, and that prosperity doctrine, that's gonna have more people gravitate to it, and that's and more followers or more people in your congregation equals more money, man. And they love that reward, man. You think someone like T.D. Jakes and these other big Christian pastors and shepherds, that have big congregations, that have beautiful beautiful temples and buildings. You think they're gonna teach the truth? No one's going to be unpleasant? No, man. Same thing with these let's use celebrities for example. A lot of celebrities, they edit themselves and they edit what they speak. Same thing with these Christians, right? Because they go after the rewards, and go after the reward. In fact, it's documented that many people, and you can look it up, that many people are leaving Christianity. That are leaving Christianity. Leaving these religions, and that's detrimental to the to these wicked foundations of the world, man. It says and perish in the gainsaying of Kor. Now when we go into Kor, Kor was a man which had people around him, people with him that went against the leadership. Moses, that went against Moses. Now gainsaying mean what? To contradict, to go against. And you have those right now that perish. You Jake's gonna perish in the gainsaying of Kor. For speaking against the truth, for speaking against the prophets. That's why it says in the book of Isaiah, whosoever cursed thee shall be cursed, and whosoever blessed thee shall be blessed. In fact, let's get a scripture real quick. Isaiah chapter 54, verse 17, it says, no weapon, concerning the brothers in the truth, no weapon that is formed against thee shall prosper, and every tongue that shall rise against thee in judgment thou shalt condemn. So like, bear with me. Let's read again. It says, and every tongue that shall rise against thee in judgment, thou shalt condemn. Right? And the Jakes, the people in the world that speak against this truth, that condemns this truth, that condemn the doctrine, the sound doctrine, and the men that speak the sound doctrine, that speak against the sound doctrine, that speak against the prophets, they're going to be condemned. The tongue won't be condemned. Those mockers and scoffers, those mockers and scoffers that's speaking against the prophets and teaching the apostles and sound doctrine, their tongue's going to be condemned. It says, this is the heritage of the servants of the Lord, and their righteousness is of me, saith the Lord. So let's go back to which this is what I really wanted. Let's go to, I'm gonna make this quick too. Now, going to Jude chapter 1, verse 17, right? But the title right here says, keep yourselves in the love of God, right? But verse 17 says, but beloved, remember ye the words which were spoken before of old. Which were, let's read again, verse 17. It says, but beloved, remember ye the words which were spoken before of the apostles of our Lord Yahweh Shai Mashiach, how that they told you there shall be mockers in the last time, right? And who's those mockers? Hey, I already described the mockers. The scoffers. This is how that they told you there should be mockers in the last time. Now, what is the word mockers in the Greek means what? A scoffer, a false teacher, a derider. Basically, just basically men that's speaking against the truth. That plan, that's mocking the prophets, that's, scoffing, man. It says how that they told you there should be mockers in the last time, and those mockers, they have gone in the way of Cain. And I already went into it. It says, who shall walk after their own ungodly lust. Now, how they walking after their own ungodly lust? By what? Right? In fact, let's go into the word lust real quick. Desire, craving, which you could say, what, their vain opinions. Your opinion that you hold to and you think to be true, that's your desire, man. And because of these vain opinions of the people, they, anything that come against their vain opinions, they fight against, or they, they go against, if you will. That's what it again says, who shall walk after their own ungodly lust. Now, how they doing it? By, going against the truth, going against the prophets, because it is contrary to, to what they want, to what they desire. What you mean I gotta work to get into the kingdom? They don't like to hear that. But you need to work in order to get to the kingdom, man. They want easy going. They want to hear smooth things. That's what they desire. That's what they lust after. And tell you in the book of 2 Timothy that they have itchy ears. They have itchy ears for these certain, things. For certain things. They have itchy ears for false doctrines, false teachings, falsehoods. Well, one prime example is Christianity. It's smooth onto the ears. And it's an easygoing religion. All you gotta do is believe in Jesus Christ and all will be well. All you just gotta do is believe in Jesus Christ and you'll prosper in this world. Hey, it's easygoing. That's what they love. That's what they delight in. They please to hear Christianity and these other false doctrines out there. So when they hear when they hear the truth, which is unpleasant, they come against it, if you will. And that's what it means, who shall walk after their own ungodly lust. Right? And go more into it, it says, these be they who separate themselves. What it means, they separate themselves. And you can say that's concerning, the men that leave this truth, that leave the faith, right? That are apostates. That was once in GMS, leave GMS, or got kicked out because they was coming against the truth or the order of things. It says, these be they who separate themselves, a unholy. Again, concerning Cain, he was offended because of Abel's right doing, because of Abel's acceptable doings. Just like how today you have Jake getting offended by the truth, by the light, because of these words, because of the prophets, man, because of what they're teaching. right? It says, these be they who separating themselves from the body of the Lord, from the prophets, from the teachers, from the ministry, from the brotherhood. Because somewhere along their lines, they get offended. Now, when you go into the word offend, in the Latin, it means to what? Strike against. To strike against. So somewhere along the way, some of these teachings, or one of these teachings, or former teachings, struck a wrong nerve in them. And to the point they get emotional sensitive, and it's unpleasant to their sight. But at the same time, these words, these words is not always going to be sweet to you, or not. I mean, not say that, but when you receive this thing, it's not always going to be sweet, right? In other words, when you are in this faith and this truth, it's not always going to be sweet. It's going to be a sweet going, easy going. That's why it's likened unto it gave John the Revelator gave us an example or a similitude concerning the man that ate the roll, which is likened to the scripts. They ate the roll and it was sweet in his mouth, but in his belly it became bitter. Now ultimately these words is sweet always, but being in this truth, it's not always gonna be easy going. It's not always gonna be a sweet, man. That's why you have Jake. When Jake, get offended in some ways or somehow, they end up leaving something that they were a part of. Now they making videos saying, talking shit about the brotherhood. Or Jake go back into the world, and they become worser. It says sensual. Let's read again, verse 19. It says, these be they who separate themselves, sensual, having not the spirit. Now, when you go into the word sensual, in the Greek, is this.
Strong's G 5591. Psuchikas. Psuchikas.
Which means what? The sensual nature with its subjection to appetites and passion. In fact, let's read the definition again. The sensuous nature with its subjection to appetite and passion. Right? And what do the people have appetites for? For lies, for deceit, for smooth things. They like to hear smooth things. They have an appetite for smooth things. They tell you that they have itchy ears, heaping to themselves teachers, false prophets. Heaping to themselves, meaning what? Gathering to themselves false prophets that like to attend to these religions or these different camps that's teaching smooth things. Hey, that's their appetite. Let's go to the book of I think Slack. Yeah, I think Colossians. Colossians. Oh no, I don't think that's the one right there. Let's see real quick. I think Philippians chapter 3, verse 17. It says, "Brethren, be followers together of me, and mark them which walk so, as ye have us for an example." Right. So mark those which are that's going into the way, that's walking in the way of righteousness, that's doing what they're supposed to do, that's doing the will, that's walking that right path. Which I believe through faith, that's the men at Great Millstone, starting with the elder apostles. It says, verse 18, it says, "For many walk, of whom I have told you often, and now tell you even weeping, that they are the enemies of the cross of Mashiach." So you have enemies, adversaries of the cross of Mashiach, of Yahweh Shai, adversaries of this truth. It says, verse 19, "Whose end is destruction, whose God is their belly." What it means, whose God is their belly, meaning what? They seek to please their own belly. Now, when you go into the word belly, right, let's go into it real quick. Let's go to Philippians. Let's go to Philippians chapter 3 and go into the word belly. Right, because when it says belly, it's another word for appetites. It says, "Whose God is their belly." Now, going to the word belly.
Strong's G 2836. Koilia.
Belly meaning what? To be given up to the pleasure of the palate. Gluttony, which that's not the one. Belly means the innermost part of a man, the soul, heart as the seat of thought, feeling, or choice. But you could say, when it says belly, in fact, let's go into the view entry.